Oh, resignation of the contract. I'm not saying it right.
No, that's pretty close. Probably for everybody uses that's a new catchphrase everybody uses now.
Yeah. And I put a lot of stuff in, but they just ignore everything. And I've done things under notary seal, and I know they just ignore everything anyway. But I was just wondering what you would do if you just send it in and sign it, or if you get it.
Well, you're extremely lucky because you're in California, because your Constitution is a very nice Constitution. I mean, it uses old Mexican, Spanish law, it uses everything. So you guys are very lucky. You get to rely upon all forms of law that they recognize. And you're lucky because California, all courts are courts of record. It clearly states it right in your Constitution. So there's no tap dancing around it. So that's great. So what they're trying to do is, and like I say to folks, thank God you're not living in France, because all the information I give you folks, if this was France, everything I'm saying is 180 degrees wrong. Because we live in this nation that recognizes courts of record and recognizes the common law to superior to all other laws, then we're lucky. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, the only thing that I could even think that comes close to common law in this country is a contract. And contract, established between two parties, like a man in a black robe can't intercede as a third-party intervener between a contract, like commercial law, like the merchant law, that can't get involved. Mm-hmm. Can you get for a jury? Yeah, probably. You could probably get a contract before a jury. But honestly, if both parties don't want to, if one of the parties do not want a third-party intervener, like a man in a black robe, to negotiate or renegotiate or interpret the conditions of a contract, you're pretty well screwed. Mm-hmm. So, see, like I said, we have a very good law system in this country. And it's not a bad legal system, because I like it that there's a legal system, because we can trump it with law. So, yay, thank God they run under legal, because I throw the old Trump down on them, and they're squashed. Right. So, but what I would do if I was you, as I would rely upon the fact that you have, in California, you have a court of record, and you can move it before a trial by jury. But the other thing, good thing or bad about that is everybody else in the community will believe that you have to pay your taxes, because the other side is going to want to say that, well, if nobody paid their taxes, who pay for the schools and the roads? Right. And so that's the problem with that kind of nonsense. So that's why you kind of, believe it or not, even though you have a court of record, you actually want the magistrate to do it by the letter of the law. It's black and white. Is this my property? Does anybody have a right to administrate my property without right? And obviously the county assessor would obviously be operating under some sort of authority, not operating under right. What I was trying to explain to Dean Clifford. I don't know if you heard the very last thing I asked him.
No, I switched over. I guess I got disconnected on that when you were still talking.
It was really simple what I said to him. I said, Dean, you're a very nice man. I said, you say an awful lot in court, which seems like really belligerent. It's like, it sounds like you're starting to fight. With this judge and saying, blah, 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 and I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this going on. I said, what? I said to Dean, why don't you just say to the court, before you even address it to the court, I said, what? I said, because he addresses the court like crazy. He talks, you can't do this, and I'll sue you, you can't do that, and I know my right, and you can't do this. The court's getting a little, pissed hearing people saying that kind of nonsense. I said, why don't you just say to them, I require leave of court, so I may properly place my claim before the court, or you say I require leave of court, and so I may answer their claim in a proper manner.
It sounded perfect. I like that.
And he said to me, well, you'll be surprised a lot of stuff that they do or don't do. It's like, do you understand what the word require means? And obviously he didn't, because he's like, they'll do whatever they want. I said, look, I'll give you the Webster's Dictionary version from 1828. To require means to demand or to ask as of right and or by authority. So you're requiring the court leave. So you're doing it right and by authority. The judge has no choice because you required it. You didn't require it. You didn't ask him. You required it. I require leave of court. So that means that I'm standing on a bar. Right? So you can Google Webster's 1828, and you just type in the word require, and the very first definition for require is, to ask or demand of something as of by right or by authority. Right. So the court has to grant it. has no choice because you're saying I have a right, and by my authority, I require leave, so I may properly answer the court. And he said, oh, you're surprised, man, they'll just run you over like a fire. I said, I'm telling you, Dean, if you place that on a record, and that judge hears that word, he's going to abide by it, because he's not a dummy. I said, and if he wants to run you over like a freight train, that's fine. Let him do whatever he wants to do. And I said, it's a very simple thing. If you want to make any form of like an appeal or anything like that, anything that he had to say, you just say, well, the court moved in error because I required leave. Like, I got to go to the bathroom. You know, I require leave. I got to go. Right. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you by right and by authority. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Right, require. So, like I say to folks, I said, look, if you watch this movie, Malcolm X, you know, and like I said, when I was a kid back in the 70s, you had to write about a hero, so I wrote Malcolm X, which really deserved a white guy to write about Malcolm X. But I said I really liked his kick-ass, in-your-face attitude. He didn't take no guff from nobody. I really admired that. It's like, I lived in New York. He was up there starting all kinds of trouble. Like, whoop, I like this guy. I don't care what color he is. Boy, he's kicking ass, taking numbers. I like this guy. He got shot in the head, whatever, but, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, boy, I like this guy. He's not conforming. So if you watch the movie, you see that his Prophet Elijah Muhammad, whoever's sitting in prison with him, says, boy, you're going to have a rough world dealing with the white man's world in their legal system. Here's a dictionary. You got to start copying it from A to Z. You're going to have plenty of years to sit here. You might as well do something constructive. And that's exactly what Malcolm X did. He read the dictionary from A to Z and he wrote it. He copied it word for word. And his mentor in prison said to him, once you're done, you'll understand when you walk into the white man's world, into the white man's court, what he is saying. So I remembered that. So when I started getting wrangled by the legal system, trying to get my child back, I realized I had no clue what these people were saying. Like a simple word like require would have went right over my head, just like it went right over Dean's head, and I would have just been belligerent like Dean. When you just say a couple of magic words and just be done. Require. I just require. I require leave of court. You know, that's all I do. I require leave of court to submit a proper claim, or to answer a proper claim that's before this court. That's all. I just need to see a claim, or I'm going to need to place my own claim. One or the other. You're going to have to give me leave of court because that's what I require. So see, that's why I did my dictionary nonsense. That's why I went through every single thing that I thought was important to know what these words meant. So, because if you're walking into their world, if you want to, you know, like I said, if you think you're going to put on a big boy pants and you're going to slug it out word for word with these people, these guys are professional linguists. And they have their terms of art down to a science. So if you want to babble with their nonsense, I try to say that, look, this is why I call this show the uncommon law. Because common law is what we're dealing with now, is walking into these attorneys' world, and this is what people think is common. And I'm saying, no. That's not common. That's a private organization. They have their own terms and phrases and words of art. We can't get manipulated by what they call the common legal language. We're going to have to go uncommon on them. And we're going to talk like a man. We're going to talk like a normal woman. We're just going to talk like soft abuse, hurt people. And thank God we're in this nation, we can hold them to it. And they're stuck. Whether they want to like it or not, they have to answer us in our language. So as you see so many times when people go to court, they say, do you understand your rights? Do you understand this? You've been charged with California Penal Code 1234. Do you understand your rights? It's like, dude, I don't understand anything. I don't know what a penal code is. What's 1234? I don't know what rights I have under that code. I didn't read the code. I didn't write the code. I can't decipher the code. I don't want somebody to decipher it for me because, you know what, honestly, I don't trust any of it. Can we just move this under the common law? And the judge will have to do it. If you say, I require this court to move to the common law side of the court. Right now, we're on the wrong side of the court. You Google wrong -side of the court, oh, it'll say exactly what I just said. What you're doing is you're making a claim of consequence. You're saying I'm in the wrong court. You're making a habeas corpus claim basically right there in front of the judge. And he has to move you over to the proper jurisdiction. It's simple. So if you folks download and record this thing, what I just said, you don't have to get upset and mad and angry, like I said, like a dean. He's a nice guy, but holy cow. I'm not going to jail. I'm not jumping up and down this guy's face. I'm not jumping up and down in court. I'm I'm going to make some simple words, put some simple paperwork, one sentence, and let it all hang out from there. You know, I'm done. I'm not getting an attitude. So, like I said, with your California tax thing, you need to understand some very simple things. You need to have them submit a claim before the court, and when they submit it, they are going to submit it under California Code 1234. And you're going to say you're going to have to put this in plain terminology in which I understand, in which I comprehend, in which I'm competent to give an answer. I'm not competent to answer under California Code 1234. And they can't force you to be competent. They can't, if they move for a competency hearing, that's ridiculous. They said, I already told you I'm competent. And I'll never be competent unless you put me through some sort of law school, and I pass the bar. Then maybe in 6 years I'll be proficient legal enough, legal capacity to give you a competent answer to apply to Code 1234. And I still probably won't be able to do that because I'd have to find the man who wrote the code, and I'd have to ask him, what does that code literally mean as you created it? Because, like I say to people all the time, we could all be standing at the Daily Plaza in Chicago looking at a Picasso. Okay, it's got like a big blob in the middle, a kind of funny shape, a yellow-looking moon, and a blue ball, and a blue thing that looks like the Earth. And you could get a PhD in Picasso, I could get a PhD in Picasso, and we could interpret this Picasso painting and actually make a pretty good living interpreting Picasso paintings and selling them and trading them and buying them. The only problem is Picasso's going to come, and we're going to think of all these wonderful things what this abstract artist Picasso was saying. So we're all sitting there interpreting and arguing, I know what was said. Picasso's going to come out from the grave and said, hey, what's going on here? And it's like, oh, Mr. Picasso was just admiring a painting. It's like, oh yeah, that big blue thing, that's the insignificance of Earth, and the big gray thing in the middle is the complexity of the galaxy, and that yellow thing is man's significance in all of creation. Some transcendental meditation nonsense. And Picasso's going to flip the painting upside down, and he's going to say it's a banana. It's an elephant holding a banana standing on a blue ball. That's all it is, people. It's an elephant holding a banana standing on a blue ball. You're putting too much into this. What do you think I created? No. See, so unless you created the code, you can't interpret it. You can try to interpret the code, but it's not your code to interpret. So if somebody's trying to tell you interpret this code and give me an answer, what do you think this code, how do you think you're going to answer to this code? It's like, I'm not going to waste my time trying to decipher this dribble. You know what? I will provide an answer in common law and the common language. This is what I believe I did right. This is what I believe I did wrong. I believe you have no right to do this to me. Why do I believe you have no right? I believe you have no right to tell me what I can and cannot do with the money in my pocket. I believe this is a nation in which I have the right to administrate my own property in my own manner. And there you go. There's your claim. Now you're waiting for the other side to rebut it. And they're going to say, well, in this nation, we need property taxes. We need some place to provide for medical and police and fire departments. And they're like, okay. And, that's a nice rebuttal. But like I said, when you move them into the common law, that's what trumps everything in this country. Only a man has standing in common law. The county doesn't have standing in common law. So technically, yeah, you could really bang the bottom out of the county, because technically, there's not going to be a voice. They're not going to be standing in court. Only an attorney is going to be standing in there in court for them, and the attorney can't come to court like you can, a common law court, and a common law court is going to require, or you're going to require of everybody defying or bringing a motion or moving the common law court to do it under oath of affirmation with first-hand knowledge that either they've been harmed or they've accrued a loss due to your acts or your inactions. And that's going to be pretty hard for the county to come forth and say, somebody from the county to say, well, since Bill hasn't paid his taxes, it has raised my tax exactly $17.13. It's going to be really hard for somebody to prove that, because your inactions cause them harm. And then, like I also said to you before, that's what I remember saying to you now, just like in England, the common law of England, the Queen owns all the crown, not the Queen. The crown owns all the land. All the edifices, all the buildings upon that land, the people can own, but they can't own the land. So this is what I was saying to you. I remember this now about counties to you. You could say to the county, I will pay you a tax assessment for 1/4 of an acre. That sounds fair, because I want the road was built to it, I got fire service delivered to it, police service. You know what? I will pay you for the value of the land. Because that's my house, that's my building. I could take a match and burn it down to the ground tomorrow. And there's absolutely nothing you could do. I'm breaking no law by burning my house down to the ground. Or just taking a steamroller and laying it out and throwing it away. There's absolutely no law that says I can't demolish my house and just bring it back to the land. So, because that's my house. So if you're thinking my house is worth $1 million and you want to assess me tax on something I flat out own, you can't do it. I think everybody knows once you paid the taxes on those cigarettes or once you paid the taxes on that can of Coca-Cola, they can't come back into your house and say, oh, look, you got all those cans of Coke, you got all those packs of cigarettes, we're going to re-tax you. They can't do it. You already paid the tax once, you're done. You bought your house, you paid the tax on that mortgage, whatever it is, you're done. So if the county's trying to come and make a claim for more taxes or something that you flat out own outright, how dare they? Can they make an assessment on the land, a tax on the land? Yeah, sure, throw them a bone. How much is the land worth? 10 grand, 20 grand? Who knows? They want to assess after that? You're going to basically pay them peanuts. But that, to me, is my best legal or lawful thing that I would do if the county was coming after me to assess some sort of land or house or property. That's, without seeming like somebody who's greedy, something like that. It's like, look, before I got here, that land was worth how much? That's how much I'll pay for the taxes. After I got here, it's all been my blood and sweat that created that equity that's sitting on that land. You didn't do a damn thing to help me build that edifice. I didn't see anybody nailing nails next to me. I didn't see anybody in this community slinging a hammer. I didn't see my neighbors coming along and shingling that roof. I paid for it. I paid all for it. Nobody's going to make a claim. And now saying that my house is worth $1 million, that everybody's going to benefit from my labor. I could have made a pig pen out of that house, and nobody get a dime. So how dare you people think that you're going to charge me now for busting my ass improving this piece of land? You see what I'm saying? Now I remember what we were saying a little bit. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, well, that's great. All that's wonderful. It's just my deal was the state taxing agency was,
What was the state agency?
They just want to collect a tax like that you would pay when you pay the IRS something. They get a portion of it, right? They come on board and want, a part of whatever you pay federal, they want state. So the IRS backed right off when I put my objection up, but not the state. They just kept moving forward.
That's funny. When the IRS is very simple. So the state of California wants a percentage of what you give.
What they're doing is they haven't seen you file a tax return, just like the IRS would say,
Right.
And so they said, but we see that you have a 1098, not a 1099. 1099 is income. 1098 is income deduction for interest you pay.
Right.
So they say, well, you got this deduction here, you're not using it, so you must have made income. So we're just going to dream it up.
Yeah, that's
Dreamed it up, and
okay, you're a different man then, because another man, you've got to be the same guy.
yeah, we were on the same call, but he was talking about property tax. He wasn't.
Right.
I don't have a property tax issue.
Oh, okay. See, I thought you were the man with the property tax, but the IRS. Why did you fill out a 1098 anyway? Did you make an interest on
Years ago, when I bought my home on the mortgage, you had to supply a Social Security number, and they give you in the past years, I have used that against my income, right? But since then, I haven't had to. Let's put it that way. And so, they just all of a sudden their computers have gotten more sophisticated. So way back in 2006, that's when they started this campaign against me.
So, now, see, that's what I'm saying. What's great about dealing with IRS or anybody like that, all you have to basically say, if they're basing it on some form that they see, especially an IRS form, like, that's pretty extreme for them to think they could even make an interpretation of another corporation's form.
Well, they'll even do this deal where, let's say you have a license to be a house appraiser or a bricklayer. If you don't file and you have a license, they'll come after you and say, well, we figure, you should have been paying this much. You're a bricklayer, and those guys make, $70,000 a year, and they'll dream up the tax and apply it to you.
Well, like I said, it was simple. Did you ever hear me explain about my mom? That my mom was an IRS tax. Okay, so like I said to you guys, you guys know that all you have to do is ask the person who's assessing you, who's sitting across the table from you, is to sign that piece of paper and say, I owe it, and I'll be more than glad to pay it. All I needed to do is have you sign it, so that way if you're wrong, I can hold you liable.
In my thing, they've never come face-to-face with me, and they switch people all the time. They never put anybody with their signature on the line. I guess the only thing I could do is...
Of course you could demand it. Of course you could say if somebody's making a claim against your property, if somebody's demanding that you relinquish something, somebody has to have the right to do that. Nobody can do it unless they have the right to do it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And they could provide some statutory code and stuff to say, okay, that's fine, that's special. Now I'm going to hold somebody personally liable if they do it in error, and it causes me harm. I'm going to need some man or woman to put their John Hancock on that document. And I'll be more than glad to pay the assessment. Or if I believe the assessment's an error, I'll be more than glad to take that man or woman into a common law court of record, and I will dispute the claim in front of a jury. And they'll be popping out pickles.
Yep. I guess I got to flush them out.
There you go. That's the whole thing, man. You gotta talk extremely nice and extremely simple. And like I said, I know the Dean style, and dude, my style is just sweeter than pie. You just go in there just this. I'd be more than glad to do it. That'd be a lovely thing to do. Just show me, can I please have somebody's autograph on here? Can somebody please sign this and claim that I'm liable? Somebody please make a claim. I love settling claims. I will not argue with the fact. I will not make complaints. I'm not going to argue, stand here and listen to complaints. I will answer all claims tended to my person. You say nonsense like that and you turn your Carl's toes.